Hey, knitters, welcome to episode 219 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I'm your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me at KnittyMcPurly.com. I am Knitty McPurly on Instagram. And if you want to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Welcome to the podcast. It is so great to be here. It is kind of a yucky day here in Virginia. It's kind of warm and damp and kind of overcast, but whatever. We've got our warm weather knits going on. I don't have that today because I have a limited number of warm weather knits, and I feel like I've just I've run the course. They've run their course for right now. I need some new ones. So let's get right on to it. It has been such a busy couple of days. Before I talk about this, Angie Hannon. Hi, Angie. You ordered a Hey Sailor kit for me. Congratulations for doing that, by the way, because that was such a good choice. But you did not tell me your colors. So if you could send me an email and let me know what colors you want, I would love to get right on that for you. Thanks, Angie. Okay. Gigi got her driving permit yesterday, which was really exciting. And the school play was last night. And so we haven't had any sleep, but it's all okay. It's all good. We're here. We're in our happy place. I don't have a cup of coffee today because I'm afraid I'm going to start jittering out, but I'm very excited for summer knits, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's get right on to progress and shop news. The Hey Sailor kits are in the shop, and many of you ordered them, and a lot of those already shipped last week. There's a couple that I'm still working on, but most of them shipped on Friday, yesterday. So those should be on their way to you. If you did not order one, but you're thinking you might need to join us for the Hey Sailor Knit Along, which starts on April 20th, which is Easter Sunday. There are kits in the shop right now. Please, when you order, don't forget to leave me a little comment and tell me what color you want as your main color and what color you want as the contrast color, because sometimes it's different amounts. For some kits, it's the same amount for some sizes, but for other sizes, you need 3 skeins of one and 2 skeins of the other, or 2 skeins of one and 1 skein of the other, and I need to know which you want for which. The main color is the white in Andrea's sweater, and the contrast color is the red. So I put together a couple of suggestions. I think the color combination that most people picked was Roxette and Dusty. These are so good together. Some people chose Roxette as their main color so that it's like a reverse where the dark color is the main color, and they chose Dusty as their contrast color. And some people switched them where this is the main color and this is the contrast color. That one was really popular. Also, Beryl and Frost was really popular together. This is the Fiji fingering, 50% merino, 50% Pima cotton, and it is just great to work with. I got a bunch of comments about the cotton that are really helpful that we're going to read when we get to our comments section. Bosque and Black Forest Cake. This is a very popular combination in general. People love this combo. I've seen lots of different things made out of this 2-color combination. Jovis. Is this Jovis? No, this is Bougie. Here's Bougie with Valentine. Oh, that's really pretty too. Bougie is almost like a white on Fiji fingering. It's just a pink leaning white. So that looks really nice. Here is Poirot and Thistle. Got some little sticky outs there. But there are tons of good combinations. I still have not decided what I'm going to do. I cannot choose. I love them all so much. I'm leaning towards, I don't have a River Rock up here. I sold them all, but I'm leaning towards, I don't have Jovis either. Jovis and River Rock. Because I love it. But then I think I like to wear bright colors. So maybe I should do something brighter, like the Valentine. I didn't bring Fontaine up either. I think I'm out of that, but Fontaine would be really good. I don't know. I can't pick. I've been looking at your choices and the things that you guys have ordered, and that has been helpful. I don't know. I can't decide. So anyway, you can go order those. They are a pre-order, but they ship pretty quickly. If I don't have it in stock, it'll take me about a week to get all that dyed, and then they'll go out probably by Friday. But definitely by April 14th is the last day for shipping. So you're going to want to order them a week before that, which is this week. So order them soon so that you can get your yarn in time for the knit along on April 20th. Okay, I did get some questions about the League of Extraordinary Sock Knitters. Openings for the League are going to go up on the 2nd of the month at noon Eastern time, and it is Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I just learned that. Regular, it's EDT, not EST, which is in the other part of the year, in case you were wondering. So I was updating these weekly, but it caused too many problems for who paid when, for what yarn, and who's getting what. And it was too confusing. So if I have cancellations throughout the month, I will save them up and I will put them on the website for people to join on the 2nd of the month. This month, I sent out a newsletter that morning saying, hey, today's the day. If you want in, you can get in at noon. Sometimes I get questions like, I know I'm signed up for your newsletter, but I'm not getting it. And when I go in and look, I find that at some point you unsubscribed. If that happens to you, like if you feel like you're not getting my newsletters, but you want them, let me know and I can go in and look. And if you're unsubscribed, I can just delete you and then you can sign up again in case you want to get them again. Although the real lesson here is just don't unsubscribe. You know you want the emails and I don't send very many. I send like 3 a month maybe. And sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes maybe it's a little bit more, but not usually. Usually it's about 3 a month. So, also I got April's color of the month is all completely dry now. And I have that. Here it is on Frankfurt Fingering. It's like a very light pale green with a very bright wildflower-y speckle. That's Frankfurt Fingering. Here it is on Dubrovnik DK. Dubrovnik is just the best for taking color. It just takes every color so beautifully. And here is our mini skein, which I did not have last week, but it is the turquoise color that is in the speckles. So these are April's color of the month, and you can go get those right now. Okay, I have been working on my second Flutterbutt top. I finished the one that I showed you last week and the week before. That took me about 2 weeks. And today is it the 5th? So we've got 2 more weeks of our Flutterbutt knit along. At this point, you're not going to get your yarn in time to get the yarn and knit the top, probably, unless you're like a really fast knitter, to still join in the knit along, but that's fine. Use the hashtag to put your picture on Instagram. If you don't use Instagram, you can email it to me. Just put the hashtag in the subject line so that I can find it really easily. Needs to be a glamour shot. Remember, nice background, smiling, wearing your top in some sort of dramatic pose. No, it doesn't have to be dramatic. Just smiling with a nice background is all I ask. And there will be prizes at the end. So I keep wanting to say August. Like what? By April 19th. So I am working on my second one. If you recall, I am using Madeline Tosh Modern Fair Isle in, what's this called? Merino Light. I think it's Merino Light, which is superwash. I didn't realize that it was, but I haven't used it in a really long time. I got this when my husband and I went on our trip, and I went to Magpie Knits in Charlottesville. So the progress has been kind of slow. One thing I did, it's in the curly floppy stage, so it doesn't look like anything. One thing I did here for the top is instead of leaving live stitches for this part, isn't this shirt cool? Like it kind of echoes the Flutterbutt. It doesn't have a ruffle at the bottom though. But instead of leaving those stitches live at the top to 3-needle bind them off at the end, I just went ahead and bound off the whole top. And the reason I did that is because I don't know how much of a neck opening I want. And it's not any more difficult for me to seam those than it would be to 3-needle bind them off. So that way you can kind of decide later if you want a bigger neckline or a smaller neckline. Because for this one, my other one, I wanted as a standalone shirt. This one, I kind of want to be able to throw over something. So it's going to be smaller, shorter, more open. Yeah, so the front, I think it doesn't matter if it's the front or the back. I think they're exactly the same. That's done. And then, I'm like 2 inches into the back. So this is where we are. We're at the ultra flop stage. This one is going a little bit slower, even though it's smaller, because I just have had less time. I was on vacation when I was knitting the first one, so I had more time, and that was really nice. I have not worked on my Traveler shell, I think, at all. Maybe like 1 or 2 rows, another floppy thing. But I have wanted it a bunch of times, where I'm like, gosh, I wish I had that sweater done because I would wear it right now. And that is the mark of a good sweater. Like if you're like, gosh, I want that particular sweater, because the Traveler shell is such a like throw over. You could put it on over anything and it's not too hot. I don't like to be too hot. So I haven't worked on it, but I have wanted it. Okay, this week we have a topic of the week. Sometimes I don't have one due to time constraints and whatever else. But this week I got an email from my friend Amy. Hi, Amy. Amy is like my knitting idol. She's like a cop in a major city. And so she's just so cool and everything she knits looks amazing. And so she sent me an email because she ordered 2 skeins of April in the Dubrovnik DK. And she sent me a picture of the top that she is going to make with this yarn. And it is in this book called Light and Breezy Knitwear by Joan Ho. And you guys, I'm never on the cutting edge of anything ever. And this book came out 5 seconds ago. And I'm like, what? It's because I know people like Amy who are just so cool. But let me show you. I want to go through this book and show you the designs in it. I got it from Amazon because it's so new. You can't really find it used. It was a little pricey. I think I paid $22 for it, but I don't care. I'm totally fine with it. I just think she is adorable and I love this shirt on the front. Charlotte was like, Mom, you have to make me this shirt. I have to have it. Charlotte's very fancy. You guys have met Charlotte. You know, she's a little bit fancy. So she wants me to make this for her, but I just want to go through and show you the design. So there's this like loungewear outfit. It's most of the patterns in this book are DK, I feel like. I want to say this one is DK. The one on the front cover is DK. There's a couple that are fingering, but I don't think it goes any larger in weight than DK. Both this top and the shorts have like a pocket with a snap. It's just really cool. So there's that. I want to show you, there's 15 patterns and we are going to look at all of them. So this is adorable. I think it's great. Obviously, if I were knitting it for myself, I would knit it a little bit longer. It does have, I looked at the directions and it does have a piece of elastic that goes in the top and in the bottom, which I love. That's great because then you know you're going to get the fit that you want. Okay, and here she did like a smaller, shorter version of it, which is really pretty in gray. Okay, this is cute. The Sakura skirt. I think this top was called the Sakura top, and there it is as a skirt. Now, this top that she's wearing is knit, but there is not a pattern for it in the book. I wonder if it is the Sakura top without the ruffle. She doesn't say. I kind of feel like she should, or maybe she does and I missed it, but I really like that outfit. Now, this one, it has Flutterbutt vibes. There's not enough of it for me. And a couple of these are like that, where there's just not quite enough of it for me. You know, maybe like if you wore this like as a swim cover-up, I think it would be a lot of these things would be cute swim cover-ups. But some of them just don't have enough of a back. I'm not going to show that picture because I don't want to show the pattern. Okay, this is the top that Amy is making. Isn't it fabulous? And don't you think the April yarn is going to be just beautiful? I gave up pretty nails for Lent, so that's why my nails look terrible. So we've got, what, 2 more weeks. We've got 2 more weeks of me having ugly nails. Okay, this one is called the Iris Racerback. This one, I I don't know. It's fine. I don't love it as much as the one that Amy is making. I think that one is fabulous. Let's see. Okay. All right. I already showed you that tee. And there's detailed directions for things like how to do the pocket backs and the snap for that t-shirt that I showed you. So this is, I was showing you like the main picture, but for this t-shirt, here she is wearing it with some pants, how to do that pocket with the, I think it has a flap and a snap. Yeah, it's just really cute, smart, love it. And here are the shorts up close. Love that. Got a drawstring. I've never knit bottoms, not a skirt, not shorts, not anything. Have you ever knit bottoms? Ann Budd is a big skirt knitter. The Wisteria tank. That is the one that Amy's going to make, and it is just so pretty. I don't know if these patterns are available as individual purchases. I really wanted the whole book, which is why I bought the whole book. There's a couple other pictures of it, but they're in the pattern, and I don't want to give away Joan's intellectual property. There's a couple of these little bralettes, which I think are really nice, but this has no back. Let me see if I can find a picture of the back. It's just like a string tie. Yeah, I don't know if I can show it, but see how there's no back on it? I would want it to have a back. I'm not a backless bralette person. And there's a couple other ones. Okay, so here is a mesh top, and there is a mesh skirt to go with it that would be a great swim cover-up set if you were dedicated enough. So let me show it to you with the skirt. And you'll get, oh, I thought she had a picture of it with the skirt, but here is just the skirt. If that's your thing. Cute. All right. Yeah, and she has detailed directions on how to put on the fringe. So again, there's not quite enough of this one for me. I don't think this one has a back either, but it would be cute over a bathing suit, I think. I would wear it over a bathing suit. Oh, I love this one. This one is on my short list. It's called the Holly Berry Tee. And this would be a great swim cover up. I would love to see it knit like a dress. It just looks so easy and fun. Whenever you see patterns like this, they're often crochet. And I'm just not really a crocheter. So I really like that one though. And this one is called the Plume Halter. Let's see if there's a picture of the back of that. Yeah, again, it's kind of in the pattern. So a halter doesn't really have a lot of back either. But if you're knitting for a young person, hibiscus top. Oh, that's really cute. Did I skip that one? Yeah, you can't see it in this picture, but there is a side detail that she put down the top and the skirt. I don't think that the pattern for this skirt is in there, but I feel like you could probably use the pattern for the other skirt and just do the side detail. Can you see it there? See how there's a detail on the side? Is that it? Okay. This one is a hard no for me. But it looks really cute on Joan. Joan looks amazing in it. The interesting thing is that Joan, I think, is originally from China. And where she lived, it was very warm. But now she lives in Canada. So, I guess she just still likes warm weather clothing. Maybe she goes back to China a lot. And then in the back, there's just a bunch of directions for how to do some of the techniques in the book. But Amy sent that to me and I was like, click, click, I need that book. It is super cute. if you like warm weather knitting. Again, some of them, there's not quite enough of the shirt there for me, but you could always modify it. Like if you see something you love, but there's a part of it you don't love, you can always modify it. So, all right, your comments. Oklahoma, Texas Sheep Lady is the one who mentioned Quivet to me. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Quivet? I don't know. And I didn't know what that was. And a couple of you commented, and she said it is the undercoat of a musk ox, and it is the warmest wool. If you hold it in your hand loosely, it will warm your fingers. The people of the area gathered it off the bushes and tundra and used it to line their babies' diapers. 0.35 ounces of raw fiber sells for $35. So those were some luxury tidy-didies. I don't know that word. It is so warm that you need to knit a very open lace unless you're wearing it in the Arctic. At the Palmer Musk Ox Farm, there are huge iron wrecking balls for the bulls to push around in their pastures. Who knew that there was wool with such properties that held warmth so much? I'd be interested to know, like, what is it about that makes it so warm? Karen says, your sweater nailed the Pennsylvania Dutch hex sign vibe, and I get such joy looking at it. I am Pennsylvania Dutch, which is actually German, right? Deutsch, right? Born and bred. My dad, who was not Amish, was born to Pennsylvania Dutch parents, and he did not learn English until he went to school. I currently live in southern Lancaster County, and your sweater looks like it belongs here. Great job. That is awesome. I love that. That was really what I wanted, and I don't even know where I got the idea from that. I just remember those magnets that my mom had as a kid. Okay. Katie B., Gryffindor Chaser. Hi, Katie, says, and Katie's comment was long, but it's also good that I wanted to read all of it. She said, it is super hard to decide on the colors for Hey Sailor. I get it. I know I'm only going to knit one of these things, and I do not know what I'm going to pick. She said, your pictures of different color combos were super helpful. Also super helpful is browsing the Hey Sailor projects on Ravelry and seeing which colors I loved. That is a great idea. If you go to Ravelry and you go to projects, you can see all the ones other people have made, and there's probably a lot, and that can help too. A note to anyone else like me who is concerned about the effect of the cotton content on your knitting experience. It is not as nice as wool, as it just doesn't have the same life to it. 50-50 cotton wool is way better than 100% cotton, but still the cotton makes its presence felt, which is the goal. I want the benefits of the cooler cotton fiber. However, your needle choice makes a big difference. I knew this, but I learned it again today. I have some Fiji fingering, which is planned for a different summer top, so I decided to play with the yarn this morning and swatch. I previously tried my favorite wooden needles, Indian Lake Artisan, but it was not great. I recently fell in love with some new Clover brand Pro Takumi bamboo needles. I purchased some out of necessity while traveling last month. They were the only needle the yarn store had in stock in the size I needed, and I loved them. They are satin smooth, silky bamboo, so I tried swatching Fiji with them. Still not great. Then I pulled out my Chowgu red lace needles and tried them. So much better. It felt like the yarn and needles liked each other. Clearly, part of my swatching progress could benefit from playing with different needles and seeing which one the yarn likes best. And to think, if I hadn't been in the mood to play this morning, I may have tried to use the Clover needles for the whole project and never known that the yarn likes Chowgu better. That is such a good idea, Katie. I never do that. I always use the needles that I always use, which is the Chowgu. Sometimes I think I have some lace and some that are just regular, but I almost never want to knit with wood needles unless they're double points. I'll knit with wooden double points because I like the stickiness. And I know you said that these are smooth wooden needles. I do have some Leica ones that I do use sometimes. I'm not really a detector of nuance. If you don't detect nuance, then some of these things are just lost on you. It's like my husband will be like, Devin's never like hot or cold or a little bit anything. She'll be totally normal. And then all of a sudden, she's ready to burst into flames. There's no warning. And I'm like, it's because I did not detect nuance. I was slowly heating up and I didn't notice. Anyway, she says, regarding selfish knitting, and I thought this was such a good insight. She said, I have made peace with being a selfish knitter. Here's what I have realized. Gifts need to be freely given with no strings. If I can't give a knit away and be at peace no matter what happens to it, then I have burdened that relationship with expectations and possible resentment if they don't treat the knitted object with adoration. Relationships are more important than knitted gifts. Wow. That is so smart. Yes. Because if you give something, if you give a knitted thing, there are expectations with that you will love and appreciate that thing with every stitch that went into it. And sometimes people just don't care, as we have talked about many times, if they're not knitters, or they just don't like handmade things, or they just don't like this particular thing, or for whatever reason, they don't respect it. We can feel personally hurt in a way that they did not mean. Very, very good point, Katie. I love that. And it gives me freedom to be a selfish knitter. Phyllis said, I knit socks all the time and I wear them for everything. I like the superwash wool nylon blend the best. And everyone who commented said this. Everyone who commented about what socks to wear while hiking, we had that question last week or the week before. Everyone agreed that about a 75-25 wool nylon is the best. She says they wear the longest, wash well, and are very comfortable. I always wear them when I'm hiking and I never have a problem with them rubbing or giving me blisters. Never wear a cotton sock. They are very rough on your heels. You know, when I had cancer and I was bald, I preemptively knit myself a cotton hat thinking, actually I crocheted a cotton hat thinking it would be softer than the wool. And it was like crackly. And I still like that hat, but it doesn't stretch very much. And it was my least comfortable hat. My wool hats were by far the most comfortable. Anne Marie says opal sock yarn, which I Googled, and that's a 75-25 also. Now, Pink Pineapple Knits said, I would recommend a BFL or a BFL nylon blend. It's a little sturdier than merino, but also soft. That's a good point too. The Selfish Knitter, hi Colleen, says, Andrea Mowry does have a lot of great designs. I say this even as I'm grumbling at her, wondering why she wants to mattress stitch the button band onto my cardigan rather than knitting it on, but also reminding myself that I chose this pattern because I prefer the look of this button band. Amen to that, sister. I totally get it. Nick Knits, hi Nick, says, I am working the Hey Sailor right now in Andrea's March to May knit along. It is such a fun pattern to knit. Highly recommend. You had mentioned in a previous episode about how maybe you could work this as a pullover instead, and I wanted to let you know to maybe look into that first. Andrea had mentioned on one of her episodes that something about this mosaic knitting doesn't work in the round very well and causes a lot of puckering. I'm not sure. I believe the question had been posed to her about making this a long sleeve instead of the tiny sleeves, and her response was that she did not recommend that. I'm just knitting it as it calls for in the pattern, but perhaps if someone wanted it closed, they could seam it up where the button band is to still give the look of a button top without it being able to come open. Just wanted to share so nobody gets themselves into a pickle and end up not liking their end product. All good suggestions. I would say that, yeah, if you wanted to knit it in the round, just do some swatching first. I have decided to knit it as designed. Mostly. It's like whenever I make a recipe, my husband's like, how closely did you follow this recipe? And the answer is never. I completely followed it. I just don't like to be told what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I'll brown that butter if I want to brown it. If I don't want to brown it, I'm not going to brown it. What's broken in my brain that makes me do things like that? I don't know. But I am going to knit it as stated. Might do a different cast on, bind off. I do that because and Andrea knows a lot of stuff. She's great. She has a lot of, more complicated techniques in there. And if you want to learn that more complicated technique, go all in. But if you don't, that's okay too. So yes, I would say that if you did want to knit it in the round, just swatch. Because just because Andrea had puckering doesn't mean that you necessarily will have puckering. People knit differently. It's like color dominance, which doesn't exist, by the way. Just kidding. Okay. I only have one Knitting Fantasies pick because I went through all of Joan Ho's beautiful patterns in her brand new book. So I did find this one, and it's by Audrey Borrego, who, as we discussed before, has quit the knitwear business and is giving all of her patterns away for free now. So this is a free pattern. It is called the Atlantica sweater. And while I'm really not in the market to knit a big sweater like this right now, I just thought this was gorgeous. I love it. I would totally knit it. It is sport weight. She held 2 lace weight yarns together to make a sport weight. So you could do that, or you could just knit it in sport weight. I have a sport weight yarn called Athens Alpaca Sport, which is the softest, just most delightful yarn ever. And that would be great for this sweater if I were going to knit it, which I am not right now anyway, maybe later. But that pattern is free right now. And it looks like Audrey's patterns are forever free, I think is the word on the street. Okay, so here's what happened. Today's story comes to us from a lovely podcast watcher named Jenny, and Jenny sent me this more than 2 months ago. I'm so sorry, Jenny. It has taken me a little time to get to it. But this is a story about a husband sweater, since we have been talking about knitworthy people and husbands, and she felt that this story was great, and it is. Here we go. Jenny says, I was probably 7 or 8 when I learned how to knit, but it was always just small things like tiny scarves and mittens. I always had to make 3 mittens and keep the 2 that were the most alike. You know what I mean. Well, when I got married almost 20 years ago, my life slowed down and I had more time on my hands. So I started to knit more. And for some reason, I decided to knit a sweater for my husband. The first sweater I ever made. I'm excited. I'm looking at pictures and I find one I like. I don't know about gauge yet, so I buy the recommended yarn. Patton's wool worsted, if memory serves. I started knitting the body first, bottom up. I follow the pattern to a T. What could go wrong? Did I mention that my husband is 6'4"? The body seemed short. So I start on the arms thinking it'll probably look better once it's all pieced together. This is a trouble of pieced together sweaters, is you can't try them on. After I follow the pattern, but just in case I add a few extra rows to the arms, presto, a sweater for an orangutan. I show it to my husband and we have a laugh together. He loves me for making it, but it is unwearable. I can't bring myself to unravel it, so it goes far back in the closet. I get it. I totally get that. Fast forward 15 years, I've made a few sweaters for myself and I feel confident as a knitter. I've learned about gauge and some new techniques. I decide to give knitting a husband sweater another try. I decide it's better to choose a top-down sweater so I can try it on him in the process. Genius. Yes. I find a pattern. I buy the recommended yarn, a fine merino, very soft and squishy. At this point, my husband is not only tall, but also a little rotund. I have to make the biggest size. I knit away. I check my gauge regularly until everything looks good, and I lay it out on the couch to measure. Perfect size. Until I lift it up and let gravity do what it does. Now I learn that not all wool behaves the same way. The sweater probably grew a foot. Had I knit it tighter, it probably wouldn't have grown this much, but I was on gauge and it's about 1 kilo of yarn. So my qualified guess is that this yarn is not good for sweaters this big. It's a merino? Wonder what it was. Needless to say, I frogged the sweater and put the yarn in my stash for some smaller projects. I'm bummed, but I'm not giving up. We're going full circle. I decide to frog the orangutan sweater and use that yarn for a dustland sweater by Stephen West. He's about as tall as my husband, so it should be a good choice. I knit, I try it on my husband as I go, I check my gauge at intervals. I do gravity checks. Everything is on track, body fits perfectly. I'm finally on track to knit the perfect sweater for my husband. I start the arms and they take a surprisingly long time to make, don't they? That's why they call it Sleeve Island, because you're just constantly knitting these sleeves. She says, can you believe it? While I'm working on the arms, my husband gets healthier habits and loses 80 plus pounds. I'm very happy about this, but what was on track to be the perfect sweater is now way too big. He loves it and he wears it at home as an extra layer when it's cold. And I won't give up. I've already started on the next sweater for him. That is awesome. Congratulations on having a knit-worthy husband. That is great. And a fit one too. Way to go. Losing 80 pounds is no joke. That is awesome. What a great story, Jenny. Thank you so much for sharing it. If you have a knitting story, please send it to me. Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. I'll have a rush where I get a bunch and then it'll be crickets. So if you have a story that you would like for me to share on the podcast, please send it to me. Devin is with an I. If you spell it with an O, I will not get it. All right, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you back here next week. Bye, knitters.